Right, welcome to a BMW M2, one of the latest cars to receive an engine swap in Gran Turismo 7, and today we are going to be finding out how good that engine swap is. But before we do that, if you want to get your hands on the BMW M2, well, there's really only one way to do that, and that's to head on over to Brand Central. Now in Brand Central, you can pick this vehicle up for 91,000 credits, and for that, well, you're going to get an inline 6-cylinder engine that produces 405 brake horsepower and comes in at a weight of 1,575 kgs. Now you do also have a selection of 5 colors to choose from, so you can just have a little bit of variety to your BMW M2. But when I tell you, the BMW M2 is one of the best BMWs you can own in this game. Now the reason that I love the BMW M2 is due to this car's handling. This is one of the funnest, just carefree BMWs you can drive, and when you fully upgraded like the one that I'm driving now, well, the standard engine produces 668 brake horsepower, and when you throw in quite a lot of weight reduction, you will bring it down to just over 1,100 kgs. And as you can see from the way this vehicle takes corners, it is absolutely planted. This vehicle, you can either have the rear end step out, you can set proper precision lap times where you just focus on going as fast as possible. You can do exactly that. You can turn this from a track car to a drift car to whatever you wanted to do, just depending on your driving style. If you want to be extremely aggressive and just have that rear end step out, you can do that by just simply chucking the vehicle around. But for the most part, it is extremely stable, and for that's why it just gives off such a fun experience. Now you do need to watch out when coming out of slow corners, because with it being rear wheel drive, well, the car can bite back, so that is something you do need to watch out for. But honestly, the BMW M2 is like a breath of fresh air. It's just such an enjoyable experience. And I mean, for 91,000 credits and whatever how much you're gonna spend on upgrading the engine, it's honestly not that bad. Now we see a standard lap time of a 1 minute 33. I always say anything faster than a 1 minute 35 is a competitive lap time. And now with us having a benchmark set, let's go engine swap this car. Now the engine swap we have available for this car is out of the Mark IV Toyota Supra. Yes, we have the 2JZ available to go into this BMW. And looking at the stats right now, it's not looking like a good swap. But hey, look, we need to spend our 210,000 credits and then take it to the tuning shop to really unlock the full capabilities. Now when it comes to the 2JZ, you have a ton of parts you can put onto the engine to really bump up the power. And well, it is going to cost you a lot of money. I'm not going to lie about that. So look, the car's going to cost you what? Just over 90. The engine swap's gonna cost you 210,000, but then there's the couple 100,000 that you need to spend to really just up the power of that engine. But hey, once you finish throwing all of the parts you have available, you are gonna be left with 883 brake horsepower, which is quite a large figure. And look, it shouldn't really be that much of a difference between this and the standard engine, because we added just over 200 horsepower, and what we did also increase the weight. So I'm not really expecting the vehicle to be worlds different or a completely new experience. I don't see that happening, but regardless, the BMW M2 now with the 2JZ, let us see what it's capable of. Now, when it comes to the 2JZ in this game, I need to complain, because honestly, in real life, the 2JZ can produce so much more power, but we are just limited in Gran Turismo 7. Coming down the main straight here, we see we are doing 280 kilometers per hour before we need to slam on the brakes. And I don't know, the 2JZ, it produces a decent amount of power, but it's just like, you know, when you understand and you can see the full potential of an engine swap, but you just can't reach it. Now look, I'm not asking for 3000 horsepower or something ridiculous like that, but at least 1000 horsepower from the 2JZ. Let me get that. That should be obtainable. But how it performs in the BMW M2, it doesn't feel much difference. I'll be completely honest with you. It's one of those engine swaps that you don't really notice much of a difference when driving it, but when it comes to lap times, that's really going to be your telltale sign of whether or not the engine swap was faster. We're going to see now, initial lap time with the standard engine fully upgraded was a 1:33, and we just ran a 1 minute 32 second lap. That's what I'm saying. The engine swap is not that like groundbreaking. The 2JZ is honestly, it's kind of disappointing in this game because it has so much more potential, but it's just being restricted, it's being throttled. So yeah, it doesn't really, it's not my favorite go-to engine swap, and even just the sound of the engine, it doesn't even sound that good in my opinion. So the 2JZ is one of my least favorite engine swaps in this game, but look, it is making a slight improvement to the BMW M2 right here. A very slight improvement, but it's an improvement nonetheless, so you know, we can't really complain. So with the 2JZ not being a race car engine, the fuel efficiency is not the best. I'm gonna put that out there. However, I have seen quite a few people actually use this M2 with the 2JZ swap for money grinding around the WTC 600. And I mean, if people are able to do it, I don't see why not. I just don't even want to really spend much time, because when I want to engine swap a car in Gran Turismo 7, well, I want to just really be wowed. I want to feel something that I've never felt before from the vehicle's engine. And with the 2JZ swap in this BMW M2, for example, it doesn't really change much. Now I know for a lot of people that's a good thing. People don't really like that big of a change, especially if the BMW M2 is perfect in their eyes. But for me, if I'm going to be spending money to engine swap my car, best believe I want a noticeable change. I want a massive difference. I want to really be wowed by the engine swap I am putting into a car. That's why I like the Chiron engine swap. That I've never been let down before, because guaranteed the car is not going to perform like how it once did. Whereas with the 2JZ in the M2, with the power figures being quite similar, with the 2J still adding weight back into it, that does slow the vehicle down. So this vehicle right here, it is fun, don't get me wrong, but I wouldn't even really recommend you engine swapping the 2JZ instead of BMW M2, just for the fact of it doesn't really make that much of a difference in my opinion. So hey, let me know your thoughts and opinions of this engine swap in the comment section down below. But honestly, that's just my take with the 2JZ. If I did see an engine swap coming for this vehicle, hear me out, engine from the BMW M6 GT3 car. I know we don't have that engine swap available, but that would have been such an interesting swap for this car. You know, it just would have really been exciting. Or even the engine swap from the BMW Z4 GT3 car. Give me a race car engine. Let me turn my M2 into a Group 3 racer. Let me experience that. Don't like the 2JZ. Look, it's fun, it's good, yeah, but there is just better options out there. So hopefully in the upcoming months we do see an engine swap come, but until then, well, we are gonna be left with our 2JZ BMW M2, which isn't that bad, but it's not the best. So with that being said, let me know your thoughts and opinions of this engine swap in the comment section down below if you've tried it out. And with this being said, I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace.